The Jurassic franchise is known for two main animals, roided up raptors that would make the devil gasp and T-rexes that can terrorize an entire city and somehow not get taken down. The T-rexes in particular are the icon of the trilogy. I mean, the logo is literally a T-rex skull. And if I'm not mistaken, it comes from a real life Tyrannosaurus skeleton. These guys are the biggest and most powerful things in the entire franchise. Massive powerhouses that have no equal. Or at least they used to have no equals. After Jurassic Park 3, it seems the directors gave the middle finger to these guys and made dinosaurs that ordinarily in real life wouldn't be able to kill one immense size and power. But hey, as someone once said, it's not that they're weak, it's just that their opponents are stronger. And even if they are not the strongest, they still are the most iconic dinosaurs in the franchise that can't be replaced. Also recently we have gotten the T-Rex that might be strong enough to put these guys back on the list as the most powerful theropods in the entire franchise. I'm sure you've seen the title, so I think you know where this is going. Although I did tell a slight fib in the title. It's not 7 Rexes I'm going to be mentioning, it's more. There were 7 Rexes originally made by InGen on Sorna between 1988 and 1990. One was transported to Isla Nublar while the rest escaped on Isla Sorna after a hurricane blew through the entire island. We know about most of the Rexes, but some are still a mystery and some are the same age as the first generation but aren't part of the original made on Sorna. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at all the Rexes we currently know of in the entire franchise, and just as a heads up, I'm going to be mainly focusing on the first generation of Rexes, which is basically the first or oldest Rexes made, but I will mention the second and third generations when it's appropriate. From old gems that made our childhoods to new bruisers that are now capable of putting the T-Rex back on top of the leaderboard as the strongest theropods once again. So let's get into all the Rexes produced by this trilogy so far. And if you like content like this, consider hitting that subscribe button, we're this close to 100k. But if you don't want it, that's fine. Your engagement with this video already helps in the algorithm. There's also a Discord down in the description if you want to talk about anything dinosaur related, art, memes, or just discuss topics with me and your fellow channel members. Oh, and one more thing, for the guy that asked me if my immune system is made out of paper, I don't know what to tell you. It's weird, like I get sick somewhat easily but it almost always goes away within 2 or 3 days. Like I was sick last week and a few days after it just went away, so I really don't know what to say. But enough of that, let's finally list all the Rexes in Jurassic Park. We're gonna start off with this bull T-Rex shown in Jurassic Park 3. The T-Rex that instantly made the Spinosaurus one of the most hated theropods in the entire franchise. The Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus is now equally loved as it is hated because of that fight. The people who hate it are Rex fanboys who can't stand it, and ones like me love him because he's just a badass and is the ultimate rage bait for said Rex fans. But despite that, this bull T-Rex has my favorite color scheme out of any of the Rexes. I think it was the same model as the Rex used in the Lost World, but the color is definitely more green. It honestly looks like a lizard color pattern, especially when exposed to some amount of sunlight. Despite what a lot of people think, this Rex isn't a subadult or a juvenile. This is confirmed to be an adult Rex from the first generation, and is one of the original 7, at 40 feet and a little over 7 tons. Is he smaller than others like Rexy, who is now 2 tons heavier? Yes, but Rexy was also around 7 tons in Jurassic Park. Only years after, until the events of Jurassic World, did she get bigger. So if Bull wasn't involved in the accident and lived to the age as the other Rexes, he more than likely would have reached that large size as well. If you still don't believe me, let me give you an example. The average adult saltwater croc reaches maturity at around 400 kilograms, yet individuals who live longer can get to be more than double that weight. Both adults, just one lived longer to get bigger. There is an interesting theory going on about this Rex though. Some people speculate that this T-Rex could be the father of little E.T. It kinda would explain why little E.T. herself seems to have a certain grudge with the Spinosaurus, because in Cretaceous they for whatever reason made the T-Rexes capable of having sad or happy facial expressions, and he is also one of the 3, or to be more precise 2 Rexes that could have been the father of little E.T. However, there is a small hole in this theory and that would be little E.T. size. Little E.T. kinda would be a bit bigger if Bull was her father, but who knows, maybe she didn't age like the other Rexes for the plot. But I personally think there's like a 40% chance that he's her father. Despite his short screen time, he still made the movie a little bit better. After Grant and the others basically led him to his death, he sure did put up one hell of a fight against the Spinosaurus. So while having one of the shortest screen times of any Rex in the trilogy, he still is an iconic one. However, it's more because of a sad reason. Big E.T. is another first generation Rex from the 7 T-Rexes InGen made on Sorna and has a daughter who is obviously the second generation, called, unironically, Little E.T. She was taken from Sorna by Manticore and placed on the island for a while, but like most of the big hitters there, she was meant to be a robotic zombie meant for just dinosaur fights to rake in some money, which is honestly a terrible existence. But luckily she got her happily ever after with her daughter. Well, at least in that episode. In Chaos Theory things get a bit dark. Big E.T. is one of the larger Rexes and actually is pretty close to Rexy in terms of weight. Rexy is probably larger by a couple hundred kilograms. But one thing she does beat Rexy in is battle experience. She has the most out of any Rex from the original 7. She fought the Spinosaurus, Raptors and a few other things while she was on Sorna and Manticore. She has multiple scars all over her body from some serious fights with other dinosaurs as well as some possible play fights with her own daughter. Little E.T. herself isn't much smaller than her own mother, probably now leaving the sub-adult stage, or honestly is just a young adult. After they were basically forced to fight each other because of some narcotics in the meat they were given which made them highly aggressive, Big E.T. tries her best to comfort her daughter, even bringing back a slab of meat and encouraging her to eat. Her color scheme, to me personally, isn't my favorite, but hey, that's just my opinion. I think the dark bluish brown color kind of fits a male Rex better. It's not bad, it's just my least favorite out of the bunch. There was a Twitter post saying she was originally supposed to be a male but was scrapped last minute, which kinda would make sense, but I don't know if that's true. Big E.T. may also be the most intelligent Rex of the bunch too. It's more than likely because it was an animation instead of like real life CGI, but after Darius took the thorn out, she gave Darius a look after and doesn't attack him or anything, even though she could've. She just goes on her way as a thank you basically. Rexy showed something similar in Jurassic World, but it wasn't as emotional as this. Moreover, I'm too beaten up to start any more problems at the moment. She is responsible for killing one of my most favorite characters in the show though, which was one of the Barry trio. Dude was just there doing nothing and got yeeted across the map. Big E.T. was originally mind controlled herself after a while and actually sent out to kill Darius, but didn't last long as the Spinosaurus soon took over that role. Speaking of the Spinosaurus, these two have an intense fight, with the Spinosaurus in the first fight coming out victorious after fracturing her neck. She can't take a beating, I'll say. Getting slammed against trees and dragged around would kill any normal dinosaurs, but she gets her redemption after she jumped 87 the moment he came out of the mind control. She caught the poor bastard before he could catch himself and slammed him into a tree and rolled him over, where he then slipped into the jungle. Little and Big E.T. were knocked out by some gas but soon woke up together and were last seen drinking some water. But that was the last time we would see one of them. In Chaos Theory, Big E.T. returns but without Little E.T. She is in one of the moving crates on the docks about to be transported. Darius says it isn't Big E.T. but Kenji says it is. This still is a debate as to now, believe it or not, but majority agree it is Big E.T. instead of a new Rex, and I'm one of them. Here's why: the color patterns are basically the exact same, possibly slightly darker, but hey, a good amount of years have passed and that T-Rex on the dock had a lot of scars and the exact same one near its snout as Big E.T. did in Camp Cretaceous. I mean, what are the odds of a different T-Rex having the exact same scar near that area? Big E.T. even when separated from her daughter is out kicking ass. Big Girl took down the Atrociraptor pack and picked up a full-grown Allosaurus and slammed it onto the ground. It's not clear where Little E.T. is right now or if she's even going to be seen again in the series, but she's more than likely in another transport crate at the time, or somehow still on Manticore's Island, but that's unlikely. These two were introduced to us later in Jurassic Park's history, but the next 3 Rexes are some of the OGs that tore up an entire city. Buck and Doe are without a doubt the power couple of the entire franchise, with not one non-carnivore capable of taking on both of them at the same time. Unlike all the previous Rexes aside from Little E.T., they are the first gen from the original 7, and they had a chick called Junior. At the time of the Lost World they were around Rexy size in Jurassic Park, but at the end of Dominion they are around 9 tons or even a little more when compared to Rexy, who they met up with. The first time we see the two was when they came looking for their son who had a broken leg, but Sarah fixed it. The two didn't care though, they circled the entire trailer but were smart enough to know that they couldn't damage the trailer with their infant inside. Even as Sarah's bringing Junior out, they don't dare attack to ensure Junior's safety, but the moment they get their kid back, they basically say F you and throw the trailer off a cliff. This is definitely malice because they didn't even try to eat the folks inside, they just wanted them dead no matter the means. Unfortunately, the most wholesome character in the entire franchise got punished for Sarah's actions. Eddie's car was torn apart by Buck and Doe, who shared the guy as though it was Lady and the Tramp. That wouldn't be the last time they made contact with people too. They found the campsite and terrorized it, with Doe managing to grab a guy with a milk snake on him. I know I'm not supposed to judge, but come on, you see a tiny 3-foot snake and run outside where there's a T-Rex? Even if it was a venomous coral snake, you best believe I'm staying behind that waterfall. It is later on in the series where we get to see just how much of a problem T-Rexes can be in a populated setting. After Ludlow ordered the team to capture Buck and Junior and bring them back to San Diego, Buck broke out and spread terror around the entire block. Buck absolutely destroyed a bus with little effort and killed a guy. However, one thing I don't really feel bad for was the dog's death. I'm sorry, I love dogs, but all that dog's barking reminded me of my neighbor's dog who would refuse to shut up at night. Buck does eventually find his son and, like the good old dad he is, shows his son the ropes. He breaks one of Ludlow's legs so he can't escape and then encourages Junior to finish him off, which is something a lot of predators do today. Injure prey just enough so they can't escape, yet is alive so their offspring can learn how to end it. And in the end they are tranked out and sent back to Sorna with their family. But it is evident due to one of the more recent movie scenes that didn't last for long, because the next time we see them they are in Biosyn Valley. However, Junior isn't with them. A lot think he could have somehow been killed, but I honestly think that after he reached maturity, he just left his parents to live his own life. These two may have been the power couple of the franchise, but even they were second to the Queen. Finally, we have the last of the original 7 and the face of the franchise, Rexy or Roberta, the big girl who's famous for the don't move line and the car chase scene. Rexy was the only Rex sent to Nublar and was meant to be an attraction for the park, but escaped after the power in the park went out. She was chasing cars, eating dudes who just wanted to take a dump, and killing some of the most notorious raptors ever made in the franchise. I mean, she was unstoppable, or at least was, because ever since Jurassic World she hasn't been getting the best treatment. Rexy has been through a lot in her entire life. During the events of Jurassic Park, she was a similar size to the other Rexes in the next 2 films, at 7 tons and around 40 feet, and at this size she was capable of chasing down cars, but after Jurassic World, when she's now over 9 tons or 48 feet, she can't outrun a fit person, so she had to make the trade, her speed in exchange for size and power. And she does use that power. I mean, she was overpowering the Indominus until it got its claws on her, and with Blue's help she swung that hybrid around as though it owed her money. However, her fight with Zeb wasn't that equal. The only reason she survived was because of the Tyrannosaurus, and the directors knew the fans would start a riot if she died. Rexy has literally been sliced up, starved, poisoned from volcanic waste, thrown around, and had her head stomped on by a 10-ton animal and was able to keep on fighting. She is generally considered to be the strongest of the first generation, but I think Buck at the end of Dominion could be an even match, although it could go either way. But because it's a movie, people will value feats and statements over size, so she would more than likely win because we haven't seen Buck fight anything, even though I'm sure he could match Rexy. But I do understand why majority think she's the most powerful out of the 7, considering just how well she can take damage, and not to mention she literally prevented a helicopter from moving mid-air. It wasn't until the ladder snapped that that helicopter was able to move freely, and for whatever reason, she seems to be the only Rex able to cooperate with other animals for the same mission. For Blue it was understandable and had more meaning because Blue literally came in and worked alongside her during the fight, even jumping on her back for support. But for the theory, I think that was low-key lazy writing. It was low-key a plot to get a random dinosaur duo that would be cool. Those two have never met, and you're telling me in a few seconds they understood each other and Rexy threw Zeb into the Theory's claws, where they then just separate ways after roaring? I'm no writer, but I think it could have been a bit better. Sadly, the Queen is likely dead now. She is one of the oldest Rexes, and at the end of Dominion, where she met up with Buck and Doe, it's likely the last time we'll ever see her alive in the entire franchise. Not sure if it's confirmed, but I think that skeleton we see in the new film is her. But speaking of new films, the Rex from that film was so dangerous that Ancient didn't want to release it with the other 7. Last on the list is the one adult Rex that isn't from the original 7 on Sorna. In my previous video I said it was weird that most people called it Tiger because the Atrociraptor was called that, but turns out its name is either Amber or Ember, one of those at least. He was one of the freaks on Side C that were so dangerous that they couldn't be released on the other 2 islands. I mean, the people at Ingen thought this guy was so much of a menace that he couldn't be released with his own species, and I don't blame them, considering just how big he is. This Rex is definitely the largest Rex ever shown, at more than 50 feet and somewhere between 10 and 11 tons. He's not just the largest Rex, but the largest theropod in the franchise now. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he's bigger than the previous weight I said. Most of us loved the T-Rex, including myself, but what most of us didn't like was the low-key clickbait. The trailer itself is like half of this T-Rex's screen time. Like, why would you hype it up in the trailer so much to give us like so little screen time? But at least with the little screen time he did get, we see something decent. For one, this thing is a flash in short distances. The moment this thing wakes up, it sees the raft and disappears within a blink of the eye. That type of reaction speed is different. The moment I wake up, I gotta spend a few seconds to make sure I'm still alive. And it's able to pull off something that would make the novel T-Rexes proud. It can swim like a damn crocodile. I mean, it was able to catch up with the raft in no time and just flip it over. But leading up to the chase, it didn't crash out or anything. At first it was curious just watching and slowly advancing towards them, but as they started to panic and make noise, he just went into full on hunting mode and locked on. A bit weird he go through so much effort because he had a whole Parasaurolophus, but maybe it was a territory thing, who knows. Regardless, he didn't immediately crash out like the other theropods would in previous films, other than Zeb. Despite being the largest and arguably most powerful Rex, the raft did do him dirty. Many people bring that up, but I honestly think he just didn't go all the way because he realized the girl wasn't in it anymore and just gave up. Before this though, he put his head in the water to see where the kid was so he could bite in a specific place instead of attacking randomly. Although let's be honest, that family had plot armor, and so did Duncan. How the hell did he not die from this? While he may not have any fighting statements shown in the movie, we can't get the scope of just how strong he is. He lived on an island with multiple predators close to his size and was in close proximity to a helicopter grabbing T-Rex. As a matter of fact, this T-Rex was originally supposed to fight a T-Rex at the end and he somehow won. Don't know how the hell he was supposed to do that. Maybe it was with human help, but hey, I can't argue with the writers. Still was stupid that they scrapped the scene though, and it wasn't even for a good reason, whether it was assisted or not. The fact that he could take down the most powerful land carnivore in the entire franchise and win is a massive achievement. In my opinion, I honestly think he's the current strongest theropod in the entire series, with possibly only the Indominus Rex capable of killing him, but that's just me. It's size and claims versus shown movie feats. Pick your poison. But that's pretty much all the Rexes shown in the franchise. If you've noticed, there are 2 other Rexes missing from the original 7. However, it's not known who they are. Some say they were Rexes from an old game that weren't headcanon in the movies, and others even claim one could have been killed by Acid 87 and was little E.T.'s dad. However, I honestly couldn't find a confirmed source as to who they are. If you guys have any information on who you think they are, you can let me know in the comments or just tell me on Discord. But that's pretty much it for this one, folks. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.